in the bottom left east for Roots Gaming. The massive underdog, but again, SkyToss players do SkyToss things. He is KingCobra.
And ladies and gentlemen, obviously playing for NC Sports, he is the one, the only greatest Zerg. His name is Serral. All right. That's a okay.
Yeah,
this is a mix-up.
I shouldn't be. We shouldn't be surprised here. It's a 15. It was like a 15 or a 16 pool. Inside and Out is by far the best map to cannon rush on. So Serral making sure he's safe. And guess what? That's a forge. Serral has just the build order. He just has the build order read right now.
Yeah, this is. I think Pylon's going to be canceled. The forge will finish because obviously, hey, it's a nice defensive tool, so you can keep it. I don't imagine KingCobra. I mean, maybe he tries to cannon this third base location. There is no information for Serral about this pylon going down. He doesn't have an overlord around. The only information he will have is this overlord scouting across the map, and also the fact that there's a zealot just running, just booking it across the map. He's gonna say that's a little bit weird. So is immediately gonna send down 2 lings, but the first cannon is already on the way. And actually, this positioning, I don't know if you're going to be able to get the cancel on that cannon. KingCobra setting this up quite well.
Oh, no, he absolutely is. But this pylon as well, you just can't get on top of the cannon. So Lings now, they're trying to knock the probe down. But I think this positioning will just force a cancel on this base from Serral. Already a drone going to the natural as he bends himself around. And actually, you know what? But the Queen here on the high ground and the Overlord just moving down to soak shots, I don't think this cannon rush actually works out. I think Serral had enough time to get a Queen out, and we will see what is the second cannon going down. Zealot trying to do something, but Ling's already worrying away at it. That this base will not fall, and I think Serral's actually in a pretty good spot here. Now, he does need to prevent the second cannon from going up, because as it starts to really snowball, that's where life becomes more complicated, and it takes some damage. First cannon's down, but you know what, actually, I think the Zealots might have been able to force Serral out enough that this base does go down anyways. But, the pylon's exposed.
Yeah, this is getting a bit awkward. Another pylon is going to go down. The Zealots actually have pushed up, and they're just getting caught by the huge amount of legs that Serral has produced. The base is down to half health, but the pylon is also starting to go down. The second pylon's going to finish up, though, just in time to keep these cannons powered. As the Lings try to attack, there's just not enough Lings here, and I think, KingCobra should just get this base.
Yeah, and at this point, it feels like Serral's overcommitted to the hold. I agreed with him. It felt like he was going to be fine. The Queen on the high ground doing a great job, but the Zealots were really the MVP Zealots of this game. They forced Serral not engaged, knock the pylon down. Now as the Lings go to the other side, you're not breaking through this. You don't have speed. There's a cannon that's just about done. So Serral's built a lot of Lings. What has he gotten for it?
Yeah, it's really not a lot. KingCobra, this has been a great opening. It looked like it was going to be close to being not really worth it, but finding that hatchery kill, that's 300 minerals down the drain. It's a lot of Lings that have been invested that are not really going to be useful. And KingCobra back at home, well, he has his Nexus up. Stargate on the way, is going to be probing up now with those chrono boosts, and that should give him a really decent probe count in comparison to what Serral is working with.
And remember, because KingCobra has done so much damage to Serral, killing the base, killing off a bunch of Lings, forcing the even just forcing the Queens to not inject and spread creep is a problem, as the cannons will not get that Overlord. One more shot would have done it. KingCobra does not need to take his third base for quite a while. He is going to be very happy to sit on 2 bases because of the damage that he has done to Serral. Overlord moves in, scouts out that there is in fact a fleet or a Stargate. And we'll see that there is a void ray on the way, but that should surprise no one. Stargate is almost just the default response to opening up with a cannon rush, because it just invalidates any sort of reactive Ravager rushes, Queen walks, whatever it is. You get a couple Stargate units, and that just all falls flat on its face. So KingCobra, really, he's following the script here, and Serral, he's gonna have to go to some improv classes and figure this out.
Yeah, should be able to take down this pylon, luckily, so the cannons will eventually also go down. And well, there we go. The fleet beacon on the way, 2 bases and 1 Stargate. And we already have a fleet beacon. Overlord is going to get knocked down. This Void Ray is going to start patrolling around, and it's 2 Stargate fleet beacon off 2 bases. This is very KingCobra.
Yeah, are you not entertained though? Are you not absolutely so excited to see 2 Stargate carrier?
Yeah, this is going to be interesting to see what happens. I mean, Serral already has a Hydralisk Den on the way right now. Ling's scouting out for a 3rd base. See that one is not being built as the carrier production has started. And I mean, I don't know. It feels like this is definitely a build order where obviously Serral is going to be able to prepare for it, and he's going to be able to get up the tools necessary to deal with it. Already we have Spore Crawlers coming up, as I mentioned before, the Hydralisk Den and Evolution Chamber, so you'll be able to get +1 for those Hydras. But with that being said, will you have enough out by the time that these carriers actually go across the map?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Hydras are on the way, but Hydras are like, they're just really not good units. In this case, they probably will be okay, but when you do go Hydras against carrier play, you want Carapace specifically, because they do take a lot. They does really mitigate the damage that comes across from all the interceptors, especially as +1 does complete. But Serral looks like you just might want to go for like a Hydralink Queen bust. Right, he's getting Hydra range before he gets Hydra, or Hydra speed before he gets Hydra range. He's sitting on 5 queens, going up to 8 of them. I think we're just going to see a massive swell of Zerg units right around the time that KingCobra completes that 3rd base. But for right now, Serral is supply blocked as Void Rays and Overlords do the jobs they were built to do. But I mean, look at the creep here. Serral is not spreading laterally. It is just straight through the middle of the map, taking advantage of the fact that Inside and Out is a very short map. And despite the damage that KingCobra did early game, it's still going to be pretty scary for him.
Yeah, I mean, we will have 4 carriers out, at least by the time this push does come. So there's going to be a decent army here for KingCobras. We're just seeing here, Void Ray pushing down some of the creep, and overall it's going to be pushed back by the queens. KingCobra, this 3rd base, it is going to be the subject of this attack. His carriers are across the map right now, though, as the queens are busting down these rocks. This could get dangerous. Should have a recall available, of course, but using that energy up, needs to make sure it's onto one of the nexus that is not the one immediately being defended. He needs that for shield battery overcharge. We'll be able to cancel that 4th base for Serral. And he's also going to see that there are a lot of Hydras.
You know, Titan, normally I would say I would like this, right? From KingCobra, you move out of the map, you take advantage of having recalls, so you can just go and waste some interceptors and go back. But we're going to see Serral immediately stream out of the other side. And as we look at these carriers that just are lacking interceptors, Void Ray goes down as well. He's not going to have a ton of time to rebuild, to replenish this interceptor count. And as we move forward, that is the point. Like you get Hydras in part to just worry down the interceptor super quickly. So this is the carriers are already not as powerful as they might otherwise be. Shield batteries, cannons are on the way, but a lot of them will get canceled here. Hydras move to the left side. I want to make sure you stay on creep so the queens can transfuse. And we're just going to keep an eye on the interceptor count. It's 7. It's less than a full carrier's worth of interceptors. And yes, Tempests are being chronoed out, and they are a little bit better against queens. 5 Tempest one-shot queens. With the Hydras here as well. 1 carrier falls already. Shield battery overcharge has been popped, but it's not really keeping anything alive. So we have about, what is this, 24 dead supply for KingCobra sitting there not doing anything. Serral took a lot of damage in the early game, but I don't see KingCobra holding this.
Yeah, this is definitely a really rough situation for KingCobra, as I mean, Tempests are out, and Tempest can help push this back. They have the range, but the base goes down. And yeah, Serral, I mean, this has done everything that he wanted to do. The base has been lost, and well, KingCobra is suddenly put very much onto the back foot.
That he is. Now, of course, when we talk about Hydra play, you know, eventually, especially as +2 is complete, Hydras don't stand up to carriers super well. Tempest can kill them pretty quickly. They just have to get on top of things. So Serral does have Fungal on the way. He has Carapace on the way now as well. Single Evo, which is surprising. I would think at this point he would be moving to double Evo, but I guess he is only on 3 bases. Hydras look for a little bit more room, kill off a couple interceptors, a couple drones, a couple probes, excuse me, but not enough. Hydras on the left side, forced to cancel on the 3rd base once again. I mean, Titan, as long as you keep your opponent on 2 bases, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. A few Hydras get picked off. The base is going to get replanted, but Serral's supply is continuing to grow. 161 now. We're seeing infestors being built. Neural Parasite, Burrow, Carapace is coming on the way, so those Hydras will just be a little bit tankier alongside the queens. Yes, I mean, Serral's just kind of getting all the tools that he needs to effectively just run through this army of KingCobras. And I mean, sure, it's like, oh wow, 4 carriers, 6 Tempests, it's a scary Skytoss army, but that's all there is, and it's against a Serral who's going to be rapidly approaching maxing out.
Hey, now, Titan, there's one Stalker on the field.
No, sorry. I forgot about the Stalker.
I can't believe this, but now Hydra's run in, and I'm curious whether we're going to see microbial shots. It's actually really useful in setups like this, but the Infestors, they're sitting pretty far back. And Serral, again, he just wants to keep the third base down. That's all that matters. He will be able to expand. His losses won't matter nearly as much as if he's mining, say, 2,000 more resources a minute over the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, this is a tough situation right now for KingCobra. This base is just continually being denied. I mean, you're even seeing Serral. He just walks in, snipes the base, walks out, and says, all right, I'm just going to keep building up. I know, I'm maxing out. I'm getting everything that I want. And yeah, the Microbial Shroud obviously is a great upgrade in this situation. But I don't even know if Serral is going to actually need it. As here we go, Hydra's jumping on in, Microbial Shroud. These Hydras just don't take any damage. This is just ridiculous, as Neural Parasite does come on out, and we're going to see these carriers start to fight against each other now. As carriers get focused down, we're going to see 3 of them fall, and feels like, yeah, this game is just about over.
Yeah, Neurals in this game, they're sometimes you get Neurals because you kind of want the units. In this game, the Neurals are just budget abducts. The Infestors are just playing budget Viper play here, as now we're going to go in once again. But Storm's already, and look at the Hydras just melt. I mean, he needs more. He needs so much more, does KingCobra. But hey, at the very least, he extends the game by another minute or 3. He forces the Hydras back, and I mean, what more can you want? You got +3 carriers soon, although it's only 2 carriers, so it doesn't really do all that much for you. But +3 air attack on the way soon enough might do it for you. I don't know.
Yeah, as right now Serral has expanded to 5 bases. Now is going to be getting his 6th as well in the bottom, in there, or in the kind of the middle, right side of the map. Also, just making sure that KingCobra doesn't have any other bases around the map. Checking in the bottom right, has creep of course on the left side, and so Serral just checking all the boxes right now, making sure he knows exactly what's going on. Corruptor's on the way, Plier Carapace, 2-2 for his ground units as well. The mothership for KingCobra is on the way out, and hey, he has +3 for these air units with the Storm. These units do a lot of damage. It's just not really a question of how much damage they do, but of how tanky they are. That Storms, though, do so much. Another Storm is going to go down. The Hydra's getting low, and the carriers have really gone down. Serral just has to back on up.
A lot of Interceptors have died, though, and really, in this game where KingCobra are just now at 14 minutes, finally has that third base up, that actually is pretty relevant. KingCobra is mining not all that many minerals, and as the Hydras go down, this has been a game where Serral has been rebuild or increasing the complexity of this army. He had a bunch of Hydras. Now he's on 18 Corruptors. More are on the way at any given second, and you talk about that High Templar being such a problem, and they are. But, oh, great fungal, though. Storm's not really hitting the Corruptors until right now, but they dance out of it. Adding in the Ultras makes such a big difference. Their job is not to kill the Skytoss army. Of course, they can't shoot. Imagine an Ultra that killed a carrier. That'd be terrifying. But their job is just to kill all of the High Templar, to force them to morph into Archons. And I don't know, Titan, that I would want to. I mean, we're solidly into the late game now. I'm not sure that I would ever want to play late game against Serral. There was a time, but he was the reason that Zerg was considered imba really against Protoss in the late game, because I think there was a stat where he didn't lose a late game. I mean, he didn't lose a PvZ for quite a long time, but he didn't lose a late game PvZ for even longer. So, yeah, great KingCobra, you survived. You're on 3 bases in the late game. Where do you go from here?
Yeah, it is a tough situation here for KingCobra, and his army is building up. He's getting up to 160 supply, but as you said, does that really matter? It doesn't feel like it. Serral is just such a master of the late game. He knows how to handle this matchup, no matter what composition you're bringing to it. And Serral right now, his focus is, yeah, I'm just going to keep KingCobra to 3 bases. I'm going to keep growing. I'm going to make it so that even if I don't take the best trades, I'm still going to be so far ahead that it's not going to matter. And now we're going to start to see these caustic sprays come down. And, if these Stargates fall, Yeah, there's not really rebuilding this army as the Corruptors are now just going to dive on forward. They have visions, so they're going to try and get rid of the carriers, and they do just that as the storms finally come down, but they don't do nearly enough damage. As Mothership getting healed up by the shield battery overcharge, it doesn't matter. A lot of the Corruptors get low, but again, Serral has the money, and he's only going to max out again, and he's done so much more damage to KingCobra than he took.
Unfortunately, Serral let one of those Stargates survive with 5 HP on it. Feels bad, but yes, he does knock down some of the production of KingCobra. Realistically, Titan, not that KingCobra could support building 3 carriers at a time easily enough. So really, this was Serral providing a boon to KingCobra, letting him know, it's like, look, I know you can't afford this. So much like when you're on a diet and you're trying to cut candy out of your life and make sure you don't eat it, you just don't buy it. And you throw away all the candy that you have. That's what Serral did here for KingCobra. He said, look, I know you're on a diet. I know you're on a low mineral income. You don't want to eat too many minerals. So I'm just going to go and remove the temptation.
Yeah, this cleans up some Lings there. And the Zealot counterattack, unfortunately, was met with a lot of Ultralisks. So they're going to start to come in and clean out this base. As you said, the use of these Ultras, they're not really for dealing with the air units. They're for this. They're for counterattacks. They're for cleaning out the High Templar. They just make it so much more annoying for these ground units of the Protoss to really have any use, as 23 probes go down, and that's really the last of the economy that KingCobra had. Mind you, his main is natural, mined out, and almost mined out, respectively. KingCobra's going to try and push this. He has 89 army supply, has 4 carriers, 5 Tempests. Again, they have +3, but it's a losing battle.
That being said, if there's a world where Serral does get pushed down, and I don't think there is, but if there is, it's about right now. Those Corruptors, they exist, and it's a decent amount of them, but they're all on orange. They're all on red HP. They've eaten some significant storms, and that makes it much harder to engage, makes it much easier for the Tempest and the carriers to take this engagement. But now they're going to dive in from a bit of a weird angle. Storm gets dropped. Parasitic Bomb going for the Loco. Maneuvers to the Interceptors. They should just pop Archons on the ground while they're fighting the Ultras, not fighting the Corruptors. And there is the GG. It took 18 minutes off of a cannon rush to start. That did damage. Let's give KingCobra credit. That puts Serral behind, but you don't beat Serral in the late game. It's not a thing. Stop trying.
Yeah, it is. That was rough. That was definitely a situation where, man, KingCobra, he really tried, but Serral, he knows how to play those situations out. And again, the start was nice for KingCobra. The cannon rush definitely felt like it got some value, but just unfortunately that really didn't end up mattering when he tries to bring it to the late game.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's one of those things. You've heard the statement. I believe it's attributed to Winston Churchill, where they'll never argue with an idiot. They're going to drag you in the mud and beat you with experience. Mm-hmm. That's not what Serral did, but it's the same idea. Don't play late game against Serral. He will drag you into the creep and beat you with experience.
Yeah, it's a situation where I feel like maybe had KingCobra tried to go for a different, like maybe a mid-game timing attack after that, maybe you take the third, but you gear up for a really strong 3-base attack, maybe you pull off the gas and just go for a bunch of gateway units or something, that game can look a lot different, but that wasn't the strategy that he went for.
No, it was not. So as we move into game 2, Titan, I do have one question for you, and it's a hard question, so I'll give you a second.
Yeah.
How long does game 2 go? Over under 15 minutes?
Under. On this map, 15. Under. Yeah.
All right. I'm actually going to take the over on this one, just seeing how KingCobra likes to play. We're going to find out, though, folks. Game 2. In the bottom left, though, in the red, he is down 1. His cannon rush did work, but not enough of it. He is KingCobra.
And the top right, he's up 1-0. He looks about as good as I think anyone can expect him in these late game situations. He is the master of it all. And it's esports. It's Serral.
So we actually don't know whether this is going to be... Well, actually, with the double gas opening, it's not going to be cannons. Because Gate Forge is a cannon rush. It's actually it just leads into tech a little bit faster, but doesn't seem to be what KingCobra wants to go for. Instead, he's going to open up with some really quick tech here with Gate double gas cyber. So what version of shenanigans do we have from KingCobra here in this game number 2, Titan?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of options here with the double gas. Of course, it can just mean that really quick tech if you want to go for something like, I mean, you could go disruptor drops, you could go fast Colossus. There's a lot of options here for KingCobra. He's going to get a pylon here on the high ground, and then we'll see what it's going to be, whether it's robotics facility, whether it's going to be Stargate into maybe a quick 2 Stargate, or that robotics facility.
Yeah, I choose to believe, as KingCobra seems to be not having, it seems like he's playing bog standard cheesy Protoss, not really, really weird cheesy Protoss. So say a Max Pax versus a Hero or SOS or something. I choose to believe this will be Invisible Men. But Stargate goes down, so I am wrong. My story is incorrect. And, given Cobra's proclivities, the next question I ask myself is this going to be a second Stargate?
Yeah, that is definitely going to be... I mean, it feels almost certain with the double gas there's going to be a quick 2 Stargate, and it could be something like 2 Stargate Phoenix. I think would be a nice mix-up, potentially. So obviously the 2 Stargate Phoenix, it has a lot of purposes. Not only can you harass, but you force your opponent into a very specific response. They can't really go Mutalisk, because you're going to be able to clear vision. You force them to get a pretty decent queen count, and they have to kind of stay back in their bases. And so that means that we're going to see, if it is 2 Stargate Phoenix, then that could be a really interesting build order for KingCobra, but it's just going to, for now, get the Void Ray, and this is just looking like a regular Stargate opening.
Yeah, I buy into your story. I buy into your argument about 2 Stargate Phoenix. I think it's actually underplayed in the meta. I think it can be very, very good. But that relies on an assumption of skill, right? Where you say, I'm going to outplay my opponent, because 2 Stargate Phoenix can be very fragile. And certainly you have to be really crisp on your transition, and you got to make sure you get enough damage done so the queen counter doesn't kill you. So I do appreciate that KingCobra's not doing that, because I think Serral, if this is double Stargate Phoenix, I think Serral just walks across the map on one of our smallest maps and pushes creep, pushes queens, and just absolutely annihilates him, like what he did to Showdown when Showdown tried that on Thursday. But Cobra, he opens with a Void Ray. He's got an Oracle on the way behind that, but this is kind of a different way of going into hero play, I guess. But the big thing to point out here, Warp Key was canceled, but he's got a Twilight and a Forge.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, we're going to see charge lots on the way with a +1. This is a very interesting build here, as Warpgate finished up, as Oracle goes on in, gets a worker, but queen positioning is good. It's so low, but it's going to be able to get away. But yeah, it's going to be this charge lot follow-up, which is definitely, I mean, an interesting way to transition this. I think it could work, again, if you are able to convince your opponent that, hey, I'm just going with these Void Rays. This is a standard Stargate opening, and I might be going into Air Toss later on. I really like this from KingCobra, though. Look at that. Pops the +1 air weapons research onto that cybernetics core. And I don't know if that's going to actually be a fake or if he's actually doing it, but it does help sell this to Serral that, yeah, this is just Air Toss, 13 more drones coming down. Serral is not going to be expecting charge lots.
Yeah, Titan, I don't care. Like, +1, there's no warp gate. Are you really, KingCobra, are you going to be building mass charge lot with no warp-ins?
No, he has warp gate. He finished it.
No, he doesn't. Unless the gateways at the natural are... Oh, wow. Wait a minute there. I'm sorry. The gateways to the natural have intentionally not transformed.
Yeah. This is like a full sell here from KingCobra. He has actually not, like, he's turned off the autocast of warp gate transformations.
I looked at that. I'm like, oh, wow, KingCobra made a mistake here. Okay, this is actually really cool here from KingCobra. But now Serral will see that, yes, warp gate is transforming and the Cybercore is still researching. So he will recognize the level that he is being bamboozled. Overlord's now on the way, Roaches as well. But is it too late? Serral's at 80 drones. This is such a cool... First of all, I'm not going to ladder for the next 2 weeks, but this is such a cool build here from KingCobra.
Yeah, this is really the mind games that you love to see. I feel like KingCobra could have kept those Lings away and stopped them from seeing that transformation, it would have been sold even more. Because you see that Serral, the immediate response is, okay, yeah, I'm gonna build a bunch of roaches here. I know something's up. And now we're gonna see that these zealots are revealed. The queens are on the ramp with the roaches. You can't really push in with this just yet. KingCobra, just like, I mean, he's still, the weird thing is he's still probing up behind this. This isn't a 3-base all in. He's still building probes and he's still building that +1 air weapons. It just feels like this is like zealot pressure. I mean, the queens are going to go down. He also has zealots though going on into that other the right side base of the Zerg as well, managing to get rid of a lot of the roaches. And actually, as he's splitting this up, it looks like Serral not really splitting his roaches as well. And now the Void Rays coming in. Since there's no queens, those roaches are going to start to go down. The queens are also falling though against the +1 zealots. And it felt like this was mishandled at first. And I don't know if it's really working out here, because now more roaches are coming on in. I mean, KingCobra made it look convincing there, but Serral just has so much.
Yeah, the problem right now is there are only 3 queens on the map, and 3 queens, they can kind of fight 2 voids, especially as they take damage, but I still, that build was absolutely brilliant from KingCobra. I don't know that it's going to work out at the end of the day, but still, brilliant build. KingCobra establishes his 3rd base behind this. He will have Archons, and as much damage as Serral took just by losing those queens, not having the ability to knock the Void Rays down until these mutas pop right now, I don't know that he can necessarily run across the map just with the, well, I was going to say with those Archons, but there are no Archons. Just, okay, there we go. That's Archons going in. But now Serral, he has 160 supply. He's up 3 or 4 times the army supply of his opponent. He's got 10 meters on the map, 4 more on the way. And the roaches, they're just going to be the distraction. Maybe you knock something down, that'd be nice, but you keep the army at the front, and then the mutas, they dive in, they annihilate however many mineral lines as Serral wants. And again, I love the build from KingCobra. I think it is absolutely disgusting in the best way possible, but I think you're right. It didn't quite do enough.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously Serral is just gonna be able to dive on in here. The Void Rays, they can't fight this straight up, and from KingCobra, it's a great idea. You know, in theory, this is amazing. I feel like I honestly wanted to see him commit harder though to the ground switch, you know, to really that all in, because it felt like he was kind of indecisive. He was still building probes, he was still building Void Rays, and the Void Ray zealots are fine, but not when you're still also macroing up behind it. If you want this to be, you know, get damage that can kill your opponent, Serral, he just does, you know, it's what Serral does best, and that's the motto. If you don't know what your opponent's doing, just kind of go across the map and kill them. And he built a lot of roaches because he didn't know what was happening, and he's like, okay, cool, roaches worked, and now he's killing KingCobras. That's gonna be GG. Serral wins game number 2 in just under